Hey, Chase here with Own Boise, and today I'm super excited to bring the market information through the end of October 2022. This is for the Ada County area or the Boise area, and I know this video is way too long. You will not watch the whole thing, so here's the top 3 things you need to know about what's going on in our market. Number 1, inventory is actually down. Number 2, demand is also down. And then number 3, which you're probably going to want to stick around for, is I'm going to give you my price prediction for the first 6 months of 2023. So stick around, you won't want to miss it. All right, thanks for sticking around. So let's go ahead and dive right into the numbers. Now I've got the market dynamics for Ada County. So this is all of Ada County: Boise, Meridian, Eagle Star, Garden City, Kuna. It's got all of Ada County in it. And we're gonna go ahead and take a peek at the numbers real quick. So you remember our listing inventory, that's this red number here. I'll zoom in a little bit just so it's super easy to see. This red graph right here. We've got 1602 was where we maxed out. That was in August of 2022. And as predicted, we thought it'd start to fall in September. And of course, it continued to fall through October. So we actually saw inventory drop by 15% month over month. Now, year over year inventory is actually up still. It's up roughly 60 or 70%. But let's go ahead and look at demand. And I'm glad we zoomed in here. This gray bar, that's pending sales. That actually shows us each month how many new pendings there were for that month. So if we go look at October of 2022, we got 401. The month before, we had 512. So we're down about 22% month over month. And then of course, year over year, gosh, we're down 77% year over year. So demand has definitely dropped off. Now, a lot of us understand why that is. Obviously, the cost of purchasing a home, if you're financing, has gone up. It's actually gone up pretty significantly. As of recording this, we saw rates pull back a little bit. We're at 6.5% for a 30-year fix, but you were 3% a year ago. So it's no surprise to me that we're seeing the demand actually fall. This is exactly what the Federal Reserve wants in terms of getting inflation under control. The cost of living is a huge part of that. Now, coming down to this mark over here, I guess a couple things. We'll zoom back in. Sorry, hopefully you're not getting sick here. The average sold price for 2022 is $610,000. We actually peaked sometime around April or so of this year, and that's when we started to see the demand drop off a little bit, and then of course pricing has came back. Now, 6.1% up. That's equity this year. So if you bought December of 2021 and you still own, I mean, you're depending on the property and how good of a deal you got, you probably still have equity in that property. But just coming over here, you can see the months of supply. That's this months of inventory. We're at 2.2 months of supply. So balanced market is when we see somewhere between 5 and 7 months of supply. So we still have low inventory, even with the demand dropping. Now, it will take some time because that demand, we're looking at basically a 12-month picture on that demand. So it will take a little bit of time before we actually see that months of supply start to actually go up. You've got the two things working in tandem there. You've got less people buying today, and then you've got months of previous high buying that go away. Every single month we see a new one drop off because it's a rolling 12-month period. So one of the things I really want to go into before I go into the price prediction here is I want to look at new construction, because in the Ada County existing world, we know why the inventory is going down. Just diving into that number a little bit more, this inventory is coming down for a couple reasons. The first one is people were trying to sell their home. They heard that they could get a good number, so they gave it a shot, and for whatever reason, it didn't sell. So at that price, they were trying to get $1 million or whatever the number was, and so they've pulled their home off the market. So it's not demand that's causing these homes to, the inventory to come down. It's actually sellers just deciding not to sell. So that's the reason why we're seeing inventory come down. It's in the existing market because sellers are saying, you know what, I thought I could get X, but turns out I can't. I'm just going to sit tight. But when we dive into the new construction side, this is Ada County's new construction. Look what's happening to inventory over there. We actually continue to go up through September. We saw a slight pullback. There's only 9 less listings that have came off the market there. And, this is very easy to understand why. New construction builders have to sell their homes. They're not going to pull them off the market. If it's a ready, completed home that could be move-in ready, they're going to do whatever they need to get it sold. Unlike the existing side where you can just live in it and you got to live somewhere, so you might as well just pay your mortgage and stay put. We're seeing on the new construction side, like these guys have financing costs built in there. They're in a position where they're paying utilities, the financing cost. They might still owe some of the subcontractors until they get it sold. So there's a lot of pressure to sell those homes, and we're starting to see deals come through on the new construction side. So for you buyers out there, new construction is a really, really interesting avenue. Let me give you an example of that. I will try and link the video in here, but if we took a seller concession, because these builders, they don't want to lower their price because that's going to hurt the future appraisals, but they will give you seller credit. Now, what could you do with the seller credit? If you're spending, let's just say you're spending $600,000 on a new home, if you got them to give you, 6% in seller credit, which we're seeing between like $25,000 and $50,000 in seller credit. Well, you could take that seller credit and use it to buy your rate down permanently, which can lower your monthly payment significantly. In fact, we're seeing some buyers today having a better monthly payment on the same exact house that someone would have bought a year ago. Why? Well, rates were lower a year ago, but the prices have actually came down a little bit, and we can buy the rate down. So if you have questions about that, definitely reach out to your favorite owned Boise agent. Give us a call. We'd love to help you out. So what do I think is going to happen in the market? Well, new construction is actually a big piece of that. When you look at these listings, guys, they're going to sell them. They're going to sell these homes. They don't care what they have to get from a price standpoint because every month that goes by they don't sell them, they've got a cost to carry that. So new construction, I believe, will actually be the domino that takes our market down to a lower peg. And they'll be driving it. And if you're looking at existing or new, and new has to sell and some of these existing sellers do not have to sell, the new's going to win out. And they're going to lower that price to whatever the demand is, and then they're going to get it sold. So what do I think is going to happen in the first 6 months of 2023? Well, I do believe that interest rates will stop going up. In terms of the Federal Reserve, they're not going to raise rates. At the latest, to be before the end of the first quarter of 2023, in my opinion. Obviously, no one knows. This is my opinion, so don't make any rash decisions based on this opinion. It's just my opinion based on the things that I watch and read and look at every single day. Now, the CPI data, the Consumer Price Index, came in last week. So as I'm recording this right now, it's the 14th of November, And CPI data came in last week. That's basically the rate at which our dollar is inflating. Year over year, they were expecting it to be at 8%. It actually came in at 7.7%. So it beat expectations, caused the stock market to rally. It actually caused a 30-year fixed rate to go from 7.5% down to 6.5%. They didn't even change rates at all. It was just the expectation of what the Federal Reserve is going to do based on these numbers. So it's very likely in December the Federal Reserve will raise rates, but at a lower pace. It could be 25 basis points or even 50. But either one of those would be better than what they've done for the last 4 hikes, which have been 75 basis points each. So long story really short, what I'm seeing happening is we're going to see our market continue to go down because you have these new construction sellers that have to sell. You have some of these existing sellers that have to sell. So if you're one of these people, let's jump back over here, that took your home off the market saying, oh, I'm going to wait until the spring because of winter and, we're not going to get as much. We'll just list in spring. I think you made a mistake. I think you should have your home on the market right now because I think you will get more for your home today than you will 6 months from now. That's my personal opinion. Because until we won't see the bottom of this market until the Federal Reserve starts to lower rates again. And you say, well, Chase, they've been raising rates. Why would they lower them? Well, they're trying to control inflation, but they're also trying to keep our economy from crashing. They don't mind a recession, but they don't want it to be a really hard landing or a crash, as they call it. So what they'll do is they'll raise rates rapidly. They already have been. The fastest rate hikes in the history of the Federal Reserve have happened this year. And they're trying to curb inflation the best they can. Now, once they realize that inflation stops, which hopefully it has, and we'll keep on these key economic indicators like CPI and PPI, and there's a few other indicators, the unemployment report that they really, really look at closely, and of course the GDP. They're going to be looking at all those numbers and putting them together and then making choices. Many experts believe they'll stop raising rates before the first quarter of 2023. I believe that as well. Many experts also believe they're going to have to start lowering rates before the end of 2023. And I also agree with that. I think it'll probably be at the latest the first quarter of 2024. That is when I think the bottom sets in real estate. Now, this is not an event like we had in 2007 or 2008 where housing was the problem. Okay, that's not the issue. The issue is all the money that's been injected in the economy that's been driving all asset prices up higher and higher and higher. Everything from cars to houses to, everything you're buying. And so until that gets under control, we're going to see those rates continue to rise or even stay high. But in order to avoid that crash, we're expecting the Federal Reserve to lower rates probably within the next 12 months. So what happens in the first 6 months of the year? Here's the prediction. For me, I think we have another 10% down on prices. So today's prices, average sold price versus 7.5 months from now, but basically the first 6 months by the June 30th of 2023, I think we'll be about 10% lower than we are today. So what does that mean? Like, should I not buy? Well, let's be real, guys. Okay. No one can time the market perfectly. Okay, if they could, they wouldn't be watching this video, that's for sure. Okay, it's a fool's errand, as many smart people have said. So here's how you know if you should buy. Do you have a good enough reason? Can you afford it? Okay, if you have a good enough reason and you can afford it, then you should buy with confidence, okay? If you're thinking, well, the rate's high today, I'll wait for prices to come down and rates to come down, and then I'll buy later. Guys, that's an uncertainty. Okay, what is certain is if you are renting right now, you're paying 100% interest. All your money goes towards someone else's mortgage or their pocketbook. It doesn't go in your pocket. Plus, you have the risk of them deciding to sell and you're homeless. You also got the risk of them raising the rent and you have no options because there's still very, very few homes to rent. In fact, there's less today than there was a year ago. Why? Because less people are buying homes today because the cost to buy is higher. So I want to make it very clear. If you are a seller and you're thinking you're going to wait until spring and it's going to be better, I don't believe that to be true. I think you're better off listing and selling today. Call us and we can talk you through this. I'd love to have a chat and see if it makes sense for you to sell today. The second thing is if you're a buyer and you're thinking about waiting, my best guess is it probably would behoove you to wait if you can. But if you got a good enough reason and you can afford it, don't listen to me. Don't listen to anyone. Go buy with confidence because there's never been a 10-year ever. There's never been a 10-year window on average where real estate's lost money. If you would have bought at the height of the height in the Great Recession, 10 years later, you made money. And that's equity. I'm not talking about the fact that you paid down your principal. You made a lot of money paying down your principal versus renting. But you actually would have made money buying at the peak of 07, 08, depending on the market, and then selling 10 years later, you would have made money. So buy with confidence. If you got a long enough horizon, there's nothing you need to worry about. So Thank you guys for watching the whole video. I'm Chase Craig with Own Boise. If you have questions at all, or if you'd like some of these stats that we have, we've got this information for every market. We can even go deeper and deeper into this. I'll show you guys a little bit. Feel free to reach out. We've got this for all sorts of months. We've got existing and new. These are all the counties we have, and each one of these counties actually breaks down even further. So when we get into this county here, we got existing or new. Now we have, the north end. We've got Cuna, we've got Star, we've got Eagle. We could break it down by West Boise, Northwest Meridian, Northeast Meridian. We'd love to help you get all the information you need to make the best decision for your situation. So again, I'm Chase Craig, Own Boise. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you have questions, reach out. We'd love to chat.